Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Ubuntu Dreams Podcast, where we talk about the future innovations of Africa, entrepreneurship on the continent, and what dreams we have for the future of the continent, the 21st century people and generation. And we bring on change makers, innovators, entrepreneurs, business people that are driving change on the continent and see a better vision and actually putting it to work themselves. Just as the formidable Gandhi said, being the change that we want to see. And today I would like to introduce to you our lovely guest who has graced us with her presence, Queen Ndlovu. Queen Ndlovu, Queen, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How
Fantastic.
Are you?
Thanks so much for making it. You know, it's authentically, it's sincerely always a pleasure to spend time with you, and to get to spend time with you with the listeners as well and the viewers, sharing your amazing journey. Is quite amazing. And talk about your journey. I mean, Queen is a purebred entrepreneur, having been self-employed in business for about 22 years now, or more than 22 years. Founded multiple different types of businesses, from laundry to management consulting, and also one that's very passionate about education, being invited to speak at the Oprah School for Girls twice. And also did a college. You started at Artisans College that you ran for many years.
Yeah.
I think that was 15.
Yes,
15 years.
the latter part was more technical.
Was more on the
skills.
technical skills.
The first 15 years was more soft skills.
That was more soft skills, but education, uplifting
Yes.
young people,
Yes.
and even yourself. You went and did masters in entrepreneurship
Yeah.
at Wits Business School. You were
Yes.
awarded a scholarship to study in China for 6 months,
Yes.
and returned having founded a technology business startup, QP Drone Tech, that is in partnership now with Innovation Hub,
Yes.
as well as CSIR. I don't know if that's been,
Yeah.
if that's okay to say, but
Yeah.
I think it's an amazing journey, and always incredible to learn. But I think maybe just to share with the viewers your view of entrepreneurship. You know, people always talk about we need to be entrepreneurs. We want more entrepreneurs. Or people say I want to be an entrepreneur. Your experience being vast in that space, what would you say is entrepreneurship for you? What is to be an entrepreneur?
Yes. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for being
I
here.
should confess that it's my first podcast, so I'm kind of nervous. I didn't know what to expect.
Please go.
Yes. Yeah, what is an entrepreneur? What's entrepreneurship? What is entrepreneurship? But to me, I can explain that from my experience, you know. Entrepreneurship is about passion. You know, I had my share of challenges while doing entrepreneurship, but what kept me going is a passion that I had. You know, I realized that I had other choices to go back to work when I had challenges, but because I had passion, you know, for it, you know, so that kept me going. You know, I don't see myself doing anything else. I breathe, I you know, I do everything in entrepreneurship. Yeah. But also, I think the other important factor is self-belief.
Okay.
You know, I think I was blessed that I was raised by my grandmother, who instilled that in me, that, you know, the sky is a limit. If you believe in yourself, nothing can stop you. You know. But also, to me, I saw entrepreneurship as a vehicle to create jobs.
Yes.
You know, South Africa is characterized with high unemployment. So I'm using this entrepreneurial journey for me to create jobs. Hence, if you check my business model, you know, it's about, actually, it's a kind of two business model. Well, the first one is about creating skills and transfer of skills. So there's always an academy.
Okay, learning
in my
aspect.
business, learning aspect, you know, in whatever a business venture I go in, you know, especially for youth and women. But over and above that, then the latest venture that I'm currently busy with is on manufacturing, because I realized that with manufacturing I'm able to create jobs, you know. So yeah, so I'm using business, I'm using entrepreneurship to create jobs for people. So maybe hence the hard work, hence the passion for it. And
Yes, I love what you're saying about the passion, because it's something that many people also say, that it's almost like it's not a choice. It's a calling.
Yeah.
That if you listen to it, then you go on this journey of entrepreneurship. But at the same time, you have to believe in yourself that you can take on this journey. And when we look at the passion, I'm curious when it started. When did you realize that you can't work for someone else, or you can't not be an entrepreneur, you can't not be self-employed? When did you realize that no, this is the only way I want to live my life? You know, maybe sometimes people try and then they say, no, I want to go back. But at some point you decide, no, no matter what happens, I can't go back. There's nothing else I can do. Was there a moment? Do you remember that day? Do you remember that?
Yes. I think the passion started when I realized that I'm blessed with energy, you know, compared to my peers, you know. There's a feedback that I get that you've got so much passion, you've got so much energy.
So much love,
so
much happiness.
Yes, and I enjoy building ventures. I'm more of a project manager as well. I enjoy seeing, it's like, I used to entertain a lot as a child, as a young adult. Like I would invite people, create these big events, and people say, why don't you go to business? You know, because you're good at hosting parties, hosting events, you know. So I started realizing that, maybe something that one needs to consider. But also there was this, our kind of wealthy family members, Bunene brothers that used to visit our home, and I would see their lifestyle, and I would envy them that, you know.
Like how are they doing this?
How they're doing things, you know, but you know, they come with these big cars, you know, the lifestyle is very good. So I thought, no, it's something to consider. So
because they were business people.
They were business
people. So they were modeling what a business lifestyle could look like, and the benefits of business, and that there are people that are entrepreneurs.
Yes. And also I think one of my drivers is that I'm results driven. So I realized that combining my passion, my energy, me wanting results, I tend to frustrate my employers. So I realized that having a business will give me the opportunity to do whatever I want. Yes, they feel like I'm moving fast. You know, I had the same experience somewhere in Kenya. Someone said, you're moving too fast. You're coming with a brilliant concept on social enterprise, but I think you're moving fast, so slow down. So I realized that with me having a business, I'll be able to do whatever I want to build ventures, using my time, moving fast,
at your own pace.
At my own pace. So I think the passion developed outside those traits.
It's moving fast for others, but for you it's your pace.
Normal.
And you can set your own pace when you are driving your own business. And I love the aspect of innovation. I want to call it innovation, whereby, you know, there's asking questions, wanting to do things differently, probably even asking why we're doing it like this, or why should we go at this pace, and challenging the status quo, and not wanting. Maybe that's something that someone is born with, or maybe it's something that, you know, that comes in from seeing other people being able to enjoy entrepreneurship, etc. But I suppose, you know, when we look at innovation, now you are an innovator for sure. If people are asking you why are you moving so fast,
we don't have an opportunity. Like of time as innovators. To move fast, execute, and have impact. You know.
And especially the impact part in Africa is so important. And you spoke about empowering young people, empowering women. Could you share more why that's important for you? Why is it important to have impact in your business, and not just be a business?
Yes. You know, I always believe that each and every one of us, you must use your little corner to make a difference. And if we depend on government, nothing will happen. The government is supposed to give us an enabling environment for entrepreneurs. But those entrepreneurs or those individuals should take advantage of that, you know, and try to make a change. You know, to me, I'm saying that if you don't empower the youth, what's going to happen to them? There's a generation that we are missing. will be missing out on it. So it's
Yeah.
important that we rather invest on empowering, making sure that they become self-sustainable. We create opportunity for them, we
Yes.
support them,
Yes.
because they'll be innovators, they'll be leaders,
Yes.
our future leaders.
Yes.
Hence, I believe in rather empowering the youth,
Okay.
But now what I'm doing, my business model, I use two vehicles to make a change for youth and trying to empower youth. I volunteer in an organization called YMCA.
Yes.
It's an international organization.
Yes.
I know it stands for Young Christian Association,
Yes.
but it evolved. The name never changed, but
Yes.
got
Into
rebranded.
an empowerment
Yes,
vehicle
yes,
that's global.
Yes.
And currently, I mean, you're sitting at the Africa Alliance.
Yes, as a deputy president.
Deputy president
Yes,
of Africa
yes,
Alliance.
yes,
Okay.
yes, of our OMCA. So basically, I use such opportunities, volunteering my time and my
Yes.
resources, just to make an impact to youth, Fortunately for me, going back to Vets Business School, to know how to do that in a smart way. Hence, why I suspect why I got elected to be deputy president of African Alliance, because I was saying that, okay, we invite our youth to run with programs that don't become sustainable, because that donor dependent. Now
Sure.
there's donor fatigue.
Sure.
So we need instead to change the status quo, the mindset, by applying the concept of social enterprise, because youth are into technology. We are saying to our youth, use technology to solve problems that you have. Because social enterprise about social innovation, because our youth are thinking that they become innovators if they use the Western kind of innovation, Facebook and all of that. But by solving problems that they have in their own context and space, they become innovators. So I'm using that space part-time, to encourage the culture of innovation, entrepreneurship, so that they make difference, they lead. They became sustainable programs, sustain the community, and sustain themselves. But also in my business, hence the issue of manufacturing. I'm saying let's try to create space for them as well, because I believe, as I said before, that I believe that when we create space and empower them, then
so powerful.
Yeah.
Because it's investing. It's investing not only in the business but also investing in the people.
Yes.
And sometimes when people invest in a country, they invest in a business. For example, maybe let's say a multinational wants to invest in South Africa. Sometimes I've seen that they invest in the business and they invest in the assets, but they see the people as assets as well, in the sense that they are replaceable and that it's just another number. And when, for example, here in South Africa they talk about BE, and that must be empowerment and skills transfer, etc. Sometimes it doesn't resonate that the investment into the business also has to translate into an investment of the people.
Yes.
And maybe you've seen as well. We've been across the continent now, working with people across the continent. You're in China in terms of how they view entrepreneurship and how they view business. Whether social entrepreneurship is now a norm in Africa. As long as you're creating jobs, you are taking somebody off the street, or you're putting food on the table for somebody. And there's many of those people, young people, who don't have employment. But looking at the different regions and how people approach entrepreneurship, for example, in Kenya or in China, how do you say the entrepreneurial vibe is in those places compared to Africa or South Africa?
Yes. My limited experience with Africa, when I say Africa, when I travel outside Africa, I went to, let me comment about my recent trip to Kenya. I needed to acknowledge that I went to Kenya for MCA. But as an entrepreneur, I always look for opportunities. I'm using my business trip to look, for my trip that I use for MCA, or it can be YMCA, it can be something else. But you always being trained to spot for opportunities.
You are looking for
so that was the main reason going to Kenya. It was our first board meeting as new leadership. But obviously, I started identifying people that are involved in drone space as well, like myself. But what was interesting, I think I I got a warm reception in Kenya.
Wow.
Because I was pushing social enterprise.
So they understand
they understand it. Actually, they're moving fast.
In fact, they're pushing it. That's how they see entrepreneurship.
What I wanted to say too, that I think one of the reasons why I got that point, because I was talking language of social enterprise, and they could relate to that, because this is what they've adopted and embraced. That social, because remember, social enterprise has a triple bottom line impact. It's social innovation, financial impact, and environmental impact. Yes. So these are things that I was sharing with them, that if you push social enterprise, you go to corporate, you partner with corporate, with private sector,
you need to speak to these things.
Yes, you need to speak to, and then so they understood that well, and they're very excited to such a way that such an extent that I feel so much underachieved that if I don't deliver on social enterprise, because Kenya is our head office, by the way. So 24 movement are reporting to us, National African Movement. So they're looking forward to me delivering on this, because they've adopted it.
So exciting.
Yeah, compared to China, they're more into high-tech. High-tech startup. I was lucky that I was placed in Shenzhen.
Which is just the peak of technology globally.
Yes, there.
I can't wait to visit there.
Yeah,
anyone wants to
I think
see
you
technology.
enjoy. I know you enjoy such initiatives. Yeah, so I'm seeing Africa moving on to social enterprise, because we've got our own local challenges, but given youth support, yeah. But China, my experience with China is that they are more into high startup, and they go all out, For instance, my business partner is doing is Chinese. I found we registered a partnership while I was there. But the support that he's been receiving from the business school. I mean, he's a student doing PhD, but already he has his office in the campus, so he used to meet, spend his nice
for the company, and in order to grow this drone business, or his research, to put it into business.
Yes, so for the mere fact that you are showing your interest and passion, they go a lot and support you, And also, and then here's a lab. In the issues of IP, as well, is that this is kind of a partnership. You can come with IPs as a student, and you share equity. And that on its own is sustaining young people coming with sustainable, R&D, So that's the difference that I saw between the Eastern, Asia and Africa. That's
Wow.
Yes. While South Africa is trying to push for both, they're in between. Pure entrepreneurship and a bit of social enterprise is now coming to the fore. But Chinese are and also what I like about China is that the government is running the country like a business. It's a CEO. So they tell you that if you want to become a global entrepreneur, they said go there on condition to support other 5 companies to be yourself. Go to America, give infrastructure on condition you support other startups to be like yourself. So
if you invest in Kenya, for example, you're a Chinese company, and maybe you're relatively successful, the government will say that, you know what, here's some infrastructure, here's some support. Go to Kenya. Your job is to give back to other companies such that they can do the same thing.
The same level. So I like that about them,
That's amazing. Because like you're saying, they're seeing exponential returns for the state, for the country. Whereas sometimes, especially in South Africa, I think when money is being invested into companies by government, it's not being conditioned as to what you have to do for it, but sometimes it's not even being tracked as to what did it do after the money went in.
And also they're combining the issue of learning component. I was so excited that I believe in it, but I saw it them executing in China. For instance, they make sure that every high corporate, established corporate, they have an academy. So it's either they teaching their youth or unemployed people or even their own employees. That you start with the academy, and then we have this plant in the industrial place. But this training.
It's like a value chain.
The government supply chain. Yes. All at once. Housed in one company.
That's brilliant.
Yes. So
it's brilliant. And I mean now human capital there is one of the leading
They're
in the world.
investing on it big time.
R&D, there's lots of
Yeah.
spend in R&D.
Yes. With their challenge of language now, they're investing in English now.
English, so they can communicate with the rest of the world.
Yes.
And when we consider that 50 years ago, China was like Kenya or Zambia from infrastructure perspective.
Yes.
Poverty, all those things.
Similar
But over the
challenges.
last 30,
Yes.
50 years,
Yeah.
they have become now, a leader economically
Yes.
as well as technologically on many levels.
Mm-hmm.
I was having a conversation earlier, actually. I thought maybe it might be interesting to get your view on is that in that process of the China and other Asian tigers, they are said to have done a sacrificial generation, where at a generation ago, people were put into sweatshops or given very low labor and worked in difficult conditions and long hours, such that, and that was one of the things that lifted those countries to where they are, because then other multinationals could invest at very competitive rates.
Yes.
But even though now those old people that used to work in the factories, now they're old, but they then took their children to school, where they didn't get a chance to go to school from the money that they were earning, and it took them off the streets, so crime was low, and now it's a thriving economy. Now people are in the fourth industrial revolution, and they're going to university and doing white collar jobs, etc. But there was that generational sacrifice. And then if we look on the continent in Africa, some people say, particularly, it's 60 years old, our oldest democracy, and there was an exploitative element before colonialism or during colonialism. And that same generational, say, exploitation happened, but it didn't benefit African countries.
Yes.
It benefited mostly European countries or other countries. And now leaders are being pressed to say, why are we not growing fast? Why are we not growing like the Asian countries? But then the leaders sometimes say, you know what? We can't. We want to grow sustainably. We don't want to exploit people again because we fought for freedom.
Yes.
And then some people say no, but we can't do that because the future, tomorrow's children, we don't know their future. Now we've got so many youth that are unemployed, etc., etc. Should we still sacrifice a generation? Can we sacrifice a generation? How can we? Not imitate, but what can we learn from the Asian tigers or just that mindset that is about investing in people and academy when we look at African dreams and our context here?
I think it's one of the converting factors, but the other one is that in 1978 they launched a policy what they call Go Global.
Okay.
Because they were isolated, where they came from, poverty and all of that. They didn't want to go outside the world, but decided to go in global. But then they took a decision what will launch us when we go global, technology. So unfortunately, many other countries, they think China is still copying. They started by copying, but now they're innovating because of the decision they took in 1970. As I'm saying, the government runs the country like a business, 30 so everything that they invested, So what we are seeing today, it is a long time ago, 1978, and I was wow, Hence we are seeing the results now. Yeah, so it's all about investing in education, but also going outside. So let's establish ourselves. Let's go outside. On the other way around, they will say people want to invest in China because you've got numbers, you've got the market, but you need to put condition to them. You don't come here, you want to come to invest only in Shenzhen because it's one of your Silicon Valley or your city in Joburg. You've got a lot of rural provinces. We'll give you a site in, so they're thinking about all of this, So it's a combination of factors.
Trying to be sustainable. It was very interesting to break it apart and see what we can learn. Ramaphosa's now in Japan and shaking hands after the Boca just took an amazing game. And go Boca! And celebrate Go Boca. This is the day. Right after that, we're having a conversation here. But I want to go to challenges.
Yeah, okay.
Sis Q.
Yes.
Entrepreneurship
Yeah.
and its challenges.
Yes.
I think many times entrepreneurs continue to thrive, and sometimes things aren't so great, and get to a place where we look at entrepreneurs and they're so successful and they've done so much, impacting the society, going all around, but at the same time people don't talk about how the stumbling blocks or the journey that it took to get there. And usually it's any success is because of some form of challenges and failures.
Yeah.
And I think for people that are passionate and want to do it, they might need to hear what challenges should they expect if they are going to go into this entrepreneurial journey. So if we're looking at young entrepreneurs out there now, what types of challenges do you think that they should look out for? What should they prepare if they are thinking about becoming an entrepreneur, if they're dreaming about becoming an entrepreneur?
I think patience.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
As an entrepreneur, you need to be patient about driving your vision, because it's never easy, and it might take some time. It might take some time, and people become impatient. That is gonna work. I've been driving this journey, but nothing is showing.
Nothing is coming
so
out.
It's important that they need to be patient, not too patient for a long time,
that you don't push and you don't drive.
Yes, but also they celebrate the small wins. For instance, what I'm learning, because now I'm into high startup compared to my
high
previous
growth,
high
scaling, high investment, high technology.
I thought by this year I would have having my factory up and running, but I realized that I need to invest in social capital, the industry players in this high technical environment.
It's very technical.
Yes. Hence I spoke to people like CSR. They agreed to partner with me.
Amazing.
I'm partnering with people like
Innovation Hub.
I'm partnering with other industry players in the sector. I attend conferences and all of that. So patience is very important. That be patient. You won't see the results quickly enough, but as long as you know that the milestone that you are achieving in the process, yes, and also you need to be in for a long time, because I see people like doing it for financial gains. And when they see that is not happening, they give up. I know money is important, because the reality, without money, you can't do anything, So it's very important that your vision should drive you, and financial gain will just follow you. Don't focus on money, but focus on your vision.
Back to the passion
Yes,
again,
back to the passion as well. But other challenges that are ahead, people not believing in you again. People don't have enough support, even from your family, from your friends.
Your closest people that you expecting.
Yes. I remember when I had some challenges with my old business, people were saying it's time that you go and look for a job. So, because sometimes in business you have challenges not getting money, clients not paying, or there's no business. Like the training business became very saturated. Hence, I changed the business model that I'm going to technical artisan training. So during that time I had some function. Even my mom started giving up on me. She sent my friend to talk to me that I have bills to pay. I need to go back to employment.
And at that point, it's not that they want to hurt your dreams.
Yes,
it's not
but
that
the
they
reality,
don't believe in you, but they actually care about you and they're trying to protect you, but they don't understand your passion.
Yes. So getting family support, it's very important.
Cool. So would you say that people should prepare their families as well? So you should go talk to your family and say, I'm about to start this journey. It's going to be difficult. and I'm going to need your support.
This what sustain me. This what sustain me. My kids, my children, they're my best business partners. Every time I go into business venture, we go out for lunch, that mama has to announce something. You know, that this what I'm planning on doing, why I'm doing it, what is the approach, what's the pros and cons. It's very important, getting commitment and buy-in from them. You know, so that's important. But some of my fellow entrepreneurs, you find that they're going to business, don't have that, and if things get tough, you know,
on each side, and then each side starts, crumbling. I'm learning a lot from what you're saying, because myself as well now in the digital consulting business that I'm doing, I also have to find that I need my wife's input, and I also need to let her know what's on my mind. If I'm going to invest in 2 more employees, or getting certain equipment, or if I'm going to turn down a certain project, and I'm making a change to my salary, for example, I need to let her know and say, you know, this is what I'm doing, this is why I'm doing it, and I think that it's going to be good for the business.
But continue giving her feedback, by the way, with little milestone, you know, because they become anxious, you know, so okay, you know, what has happened today, celebrating your small win, you know. I think we need to celebrate tonight. We need some champagne. Why, Mama, champagne? Touch of your champagne. Because we celebrate small wins.
There's something that happened.
CSIR is one of the biggest R&D institutions in South Africa.
On the continent.
And I'm just no one. I'm just nobody. But they've agreed to partner with me to give me that innovative support. Amazing. You know, so it's important that people that support you, like your family, your wife, continue to give them feedback, so they don't become uncertain and anxious that okay, there's no money, it's 1 year, 2 years, but still excited. They don't understand why you're excited, because not showing in the bank, but you know,
but you're excited, and you're everywhere.
Yes. And some of my challenges was like people not believing you, your potential client to go and pitch. They told me, like my other experiences, they say, you know, big corporate, when I went to pitch, they say, you sure want to go into manufacturing? You know, are you not worried? Why don't you import? I mean, you've got supplies from China. Why don't, like, people want to shift your vision. Your vision, you know, and they think that you're just doing things because you're being emotional. You're not using a thought process. You know, you want to create jobs, but you're not
you're being social.
There's
you're
lots
putting
of
too much emotion into
there's so much sites with manufacturing. You know, there's a lot of issues. You know, so people want to move and test your vision. So it's important that you become firm. But if you've got mentors that understand and support your vision, these are the people that you go back to. That's what I've learned in the process as well. When people start to do it, are you sure about this manufacturing? Yes, I'm sure. But obviously, you need to get a second thought that maybe the way I'm presenting myself, I'm scaring people. You know. So it's important that. So I had those situations where you almost gave up because people are thinking that your vision doesn't make sense. And I'm not even an engineer, but they're going to technical space. And I had to educate people that I'm a technopreneur, which means I'm an entrepreneur and partner with technical like engineers. You know, so those challenges.
I love that. Technopreneur.
Yeah.
It means you're an entrepreneur and you partner with technology entrepreneurs or technology specialists. And that's where you get this high-scale business.
Yes.
Fantastic.
And also the other challenge is that like you leave your family, you go and stay in a foreign country for 6 months. So those are some of the challenges. But as long as you have the buy-in, you believe in your dream.
If they're supporting you, they'll be on your side when it's difficult, even during those times.
And the other thing that almost killed my previous business is that they became irrelevant and saturated. So what I've learned in the process that you check the business that are going to trend in the next 5 and 10 years. Sustainable business. Think ahead. Don't see.
Don't build a business for now. No, not to open a spaza shop or a car wash. It's just going to solve now. But how can this car wash in the future?
Technology still remain relevant. That's the change I had with my former business partner, because I thought, let's change the business model and apply a bit of technology. But we are fine. Why want to change what we have? You know?
Why fix what's not broken?
Why fix what's not broken?
And that's what Nokia said. And look at where they are now.
Yes.
And that's the innovative thinking we probably need on the continent. because and I mean on the continent we see Africans make do with what they have. They appreciate what they have and they make do with what they have, and that's very innovative. But at the same time, there isn't a lot of dreaming. Dreaming is not is not easy to do, and to have hope is not easy when things are difficult and there's not resources and there's not the support sometimes from the family or from cultural perspective. And just looking around to believe. And I mean, one of the things that really inspires our conversations here are dreams for Africa, dreams for you, dreams of the African child. What are for you if you know, thinking of African child in this global village? So many different perspectives, and Africa continuously having been previously the most donated place. This is the place that we need to provide the most donor funds and help out the most. But it hasn't been on the one way. It's mostly providing innovations to the world. Recently, with things like M-Pesa, we've seen innovations going out into the world. We've seen things like USSD, you know, things that are born here in Africa. But if we think from your view of the African child, what should the African child be dreaming about, and us? How should we be helping the African child? When we look at the future of Africa, what do you think are the most important things for us to help the African child to dream about?
Yeah, to be game changers and to tell them it's so possible. The sky is the limit, because that's a message I always say to women and youth and African children. And that, guys, you've got praying. As long as you've got praying, you can't come with excuse why you can't exploit opportunities. You know. And also, I dream of an African child having being entrepreneurs than to be employees, you know, changing the mindset that don't be a beggar, look for a job from an employer or from government. Create your own jobs. That's my dream, that we have that entrepreneurial orientation. We have a high entrepreneurial orientation. We've got African children or African child that are innovative, that are risk takers. And what's the third one, by the way? I spoke about productive, innovative, productive, and that's risk takers, because that promotes high entrepreneurial orientation. That's my dream. That promote those traits. Let's support them and enable that they realize that dream through having those three traits I've just mentioned. You know, and to change the mindset that I can create job instead of asking for a job from someone, and also to tell them they've got all the resources, they've got all the support. With the resources that we have in Africa, you know, it's enough, you know. So yeah. So
it's so difficult to believe, Queen, when you go to a place like Zambia or Lusaka, and on one part, like in Livingston, where there's, you know, the Zambezi River, and then it goes to Vic Falls, I think. Yes. You know, there's tourists there spending thousands of dollars. And things are very expensive, and then people are working for relatively cheap. But and then you go a few kilometers outside of Lusaka, and there's almost absolutely nothing. And people, you know, here, for example, South Africa, you know, in the shacks, people have DSTVs. There's some of the shacks have informal settlements, shacks. They've got some windows, and then you go to some places, also in the Eastern Cape, but also in Malawi, for example, where it's just wood, it's just put together. And in those places, I can imagine it's so difficult to dream and to hope. But I'm sure as an entrepreneur of so many years, you've also been at a situation where you felt this was finished, this was it, I can't do this anymore. And maybe there's someone on the other side of that screen who's feeling the same thing. And going back to that African child who's in that situation, what would you want to say to them? What do you think they should remember, or what do you think they need to hear?
I think I'll maintain what I've shared with you already, that there's so much opportunity. They just need to look for those opportunities. For instance, if they're sitting in those conditions, you think that we have the current challenges in our village. We don't have something that can carry water, as an example, from point A to point B. What is it that I can do to improve the situation in my current solution, in my current situation? So they need to do that. There are always challenges and there are always solutions, so they must try to be solution driven, checking what are the challenges and how can they change that and make them sustainable without having any kind of resources. By checking what's happening, that helps a lot, and also, as I said, that checking the passion, what they're interested on doing, on pursuing, and using the challenges that they are faced within their environment to drive that challenge. Some will be interested in agriculture. That we have a challenge that when we plant some meals, the fertilizers, there's something wrong with the fertilizers that we're using. What kind of, or transportation to farms. You get what I mean? I know if it makes sense what I'm saying. That as long as you've got our brain, it's possible that you can.
That's what I'm hearing.
That's the biggest asset.
What I'm hearing.
That's the biggest asset.
You don't
Let's
need
exercise
stuff.
the organ. You don't need stuff. That's okay. Because if you check the innovation and the one that from Western culture, it's about coming with solution. How can we improve on our current situation? So they use that because they have that. The challenge might be, how do I take that to the next level?
Yes.
And obviously it's a matter of them. They have smartphones, some of them, and government is trying to say, let's have connectivity in rural setting. Use that to do a little bit of research about the innovative solutions that they are thinking of. They get that, So I'm saying, and also, I try to identify people that will support them in terms of mentors. That also help. A local businessman, mentorship, someone.
Reach out to them.
Yes, reach out to them that I have this.
You never know if
you never know, I have this passion and I'm seeing this current gap in my community, and these are my interests. These I think are my strength, but I need help in 1, 2, 3. How do I take this to the next level?
And if they say no, it's okay.
You do
go
research,
to someone else.
Smartphone. That's how I use the example of connectivity. That you look places where the hotspots. Yes, the power is in your hand, and you are right. If this person is not interested, move on. I had a lot of people like disappointed
that you went to.
Yes.
And
even now, I still get a lot of disappointment. I reposition myself. Okay, I'm on, and reposition myself, reflect, and move on.
I remember as well. Once I started a non-profit organization. And it was going to be a technology business. It was going to be a marketplace for NPOs and volunteers and all of that. And I went to a number of people, and one of them was a businessman who's a family member, and he laughed. He was like, "I would never do a non-profit. Where's the money in that?" But I mean, you have to things like that. If you take it very much to heart, they can kill the business and kill your vision.
Yes.
And over time, I suppose you see. I mean, that was in university, which was a while back, starting to try to be an entrepreneur. Over time, you realize that some people will see the vision and some people won't. And the ones that don't, it's not that they're not supporting you. They just don't see the vision. They're not on your path. There's the people that
you want to push their path through your path. If you don't support, it doesn't support, they think you're going to be the failure. Because we are addressing their weaknesses and vulnerability by becoming too ambitious. So what I've learned in the process as well,
There's a lot of this psychological element to entrepreneurship. Yes, it's business, one part, but a lot of it is also about, for example, knowing that you a lot of energy, a lot of love, a lot of positivity, Sometimes I ask myself, Queen, how do you do it? How do you do it every time? You know, when someone sees you, when I see you, you've got a smile on, you're positive, even and you're pushing forward. But sometimes there's of course challenges, but all up and down. But at the same time, you are managing. And you are thriving your social and psychological self.
Yes, that's important.
How do you do that? Like what are your approaches to that element?
When I address people like youth and women, like when I get invited to opera schools, you know, such audience. I always say, by the way, I'm forgetting your question now.
About how you
manage. I always tell them about managing the balanced life.
Okay.
That's very important.
Okay.
Hence, every time when they read my bio, I don't skip the issue of my social life as well. I always mention that I've got 3 daughters, so I'm a mother in this high impact business. I'm a mother. I always mention that I love dancing. I do salsa. You know. And everywhere I go, like I went to Kenya, I got an opportunity to dance. And that's how I balance my life, psychologically, emotional. That I need to do things that I love doing. They keep me going. Because it's how I distress, it's how I pause. So I pause a lot by doing things that I love. So I dance salsa, I dance kizomba. Because there wasn't any time in kizomba, I did that for 2 hours. But for the matter that I was able. So living a balanced life is important, you know. So that helps me as well. And also like sometimes like I enjoy it now. I'm no longer doing it loyally. You know, the issue of meditation, having some quiet time. You know, I'm working on my brain.
Thinking about inner self, how you feeling, what happened.
Yes. So actually I used to attend the meditation school, meditation and philosophy school in Pretoria. So that also kept me going, you know. And also like I enjoy partying a lot. I got my I usually party. So luckily SAS allows me to party, by the way. So I dance, I party a lot with young people, old people, mix jazz or hip hop,
and
dance
you
with
just
my
do
kids.
You, no matter what people are thinking, how they're feeling, you do you.
And that's the culture shock I'm bringing also to Africa as my deputy president. This one is dynamic, she looks different. I was just about dancing, about kids, you know. So, but it's important that as a businesswoman, as an entrepreneur, you need to identify spaces that will make you relax, pause, and still enjoy your life. And unfortunately, when you do that, people think that it means your business is doing well. You know, she can afford to dance, she can, I do golf, you know, social golfing, she's playing golf, but this is how
this is the lifestyle of the entrepreneur in order to continue to live your passion.
Yes. So I balance my life, that I make sure that I do something that I enjoy doing, reading books. I go and party, dance. On the other side, I'm very disciplined. Come to discipline, I have to achieve my goals. I review management by objectives. Every week I check what is it that I'm working on the business. Am I achieve my target? What is it that I'm not doing well? What are the challenges? I make time that I speak to my mentors, because I've got 4 different mentors, tool for business, high tech. So yeah, you know. So this is how I do it. So people think that I'm more have energy to do that, but it's more about time management. I make sure that whatever I'm doing, I give time for all of that.
I love that part about you know, putting energy and time in the same sentence.
Even my family, by the way, I forgot to mention, I make sure that I keep time for them, for my girls. You know, where they tell me that they think I'm always around, I'm no longer at home, I'm always traveling the world. What about them? So I always make time for them as well.
The schedule.
And although they become angry, but they do appreciate. Like this morning, I understand they wanted to surprise me yesterday by a bouquet of fresh flowers just to thank me. And I thought they were angry because I came from Kenya. Now I'm watching Melrose, but now they still appreciate, you know.
That's so sweet. That's so sweet. Blessings to them. The element of time and energy. I read once that time is an emotion. Time is energy. And that when you're managing time, you shouldn't think of it as managing 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, but try to manage, because you can do something in 3 hours, or you can do it in an hour, depending on how much energy you have.
Yes.
You could achieve the same thing
Yes,
in
the
a
same
shorter
effort.
amount
Yes,
of time.
yes.
And from what I'm hearing, you saying that you manage your energy.
Yes.
You don't try to manage your time. If
I
your
didn't
stress is-
realize that.
it
Thank
is-
you. I was not aware that I'm
that's
actually
beautiful.
doing that. I'm
Are
learning.
you
Thank
educating
you.
us here?
Yes,
Thank you.
know, the way you're putting it, that I'm managing my energy, not time. Oh,
Yes,
wow.
because when you're stressed out, you dance.
Yes.
And then once you've got your energy, it gives you your energy, then you can go and tackle more targets.
Yes.
But it's very unique experience, I think, that some men don't understand being a woman entrepreneur, particularly in Africa. In Dar es Salaam, for example, I visited a place called Safe Spaces. It's a woman-ran co-working space and consulting about mental issues in entrepreneurs, and then they also support women entrepreneurs in Dar es Salaam. And completely women-led team. We'll put in a link here or somewhere so you can check them out on their Instagram.
Thank you. Yeah.
And they were saying that they sometimes they host sessions where they bring in female entrepreneurs and startups,
Nice.
and then they share about the challenges that they experience to group of male startups and men startups, and some of the men are surprised at some of the challenges that women experience that they take for granted.
Granted.
That
Wow.
walking into a boardroom, there's certain preconceptions
Yes.
that women have to overcome
Yes.
in order to be in order to be effective or to be well received in that environment. And then there's also family. There's other social aspects of
Yes.
being a woman
Yes.
that are expected.
Yes.
But entrepreneurship doesn't always listen to those things.
Yes.
Entrepreneurship and
Such
business
happens.
is just straight.
Yes.
Doesn't care your
Yes.
skin color, your
Yeah.
age. It doesn't care what gender you are. So I think many female entrepreneurs are thinking, how do you do it? What can they take from your 22-year journey as an African woman entrepreneur that they can take on and say, okay, I might encounter this, but if I encounter this, this is what I can do. And maybe just from some of your experiences, maybe you'd like to share.
Yes. The other challenge that I forgot to mention that everyone complains about, obviously, is just getting funding. Yeah, I forgot to mention that. Yeah. So, what was your question again?
About being a woman entrepreneur, particularly in Africa.
Yes.
What can other women aspiring entrepreneurs or women entrepreneurs look out for in terms of what you encountered and how they can overcome those challenges?
Yes, hence I could remember. Now I remember why I remember about the financial capital. It's because it's number one challenge, as an entrepreneur. But now, how I manage this challenge, the vision for me was to set up a big manufacturing plant in South Africa, because compared to my competitors, they use they use operations. And I realized that when I did my research, there's more challenge that we've got few manufacturers of clothes in Africa, and especially
usually
in Africa.
They import it and they run it and
yeah. So I realized that I needed to build this manufacturing factory. Obviously I don't have money. I don't have capital.
And
government will say,
we'll
support you and this and that. So what you do sometimes is that you change things around. And thanks to one of my mentors, Dr. Clark, who said, Queen, sometimes it's not ideal by setting up this big manufacturing factory without you having business first. So rather work on creating your profile, on adding value to your business. Let people know about your tech, the value chain. Let people know about your brand. Let people know about your business. And we do little things that to add value to your business. Once you achieve that, then you can start building your factory, using the money that you got out of kind of consulting part of business. Okay, but at the same time, as much as you want to follow that approach, it's important that you have some form of infrastructure for you to consult or to keep on building the vision.
Yes.
So hence the issue of strategic partnership.
Okay.
And hence I partnered with people like CSR.
Yes.
I'm saying I've got this innovative solution.
Yes.
I don't have resources. I want to
Yes.
build a factory, but I don't have.
This is my vision.
Yes.
This is where I am.
Yes.
This is what I need.
Yes,
And
how
I
do you
think
support
can,
me that we work together? And
Mhm.
obviously they'll ask what is there for us. So the issue of collaboration come into place. So I'll propose, can I use your infrastructure?
And how was the reception? I mean, CSIR and the engineers are mostly men,
Yes.
and
Yes.
it's a technology business, and both founders are women.
Can I share you something? The
yes.
first meeting didn't go well, and I cried the whole evening.
Really?
The whole night, because they said, no, what, we can't, we don't see the
See
synergy.
this Imagine.
So yeah, it was not easy.
Mhm.
It was not easy. But with me not giving up, I said there should be a solution.
There's a way.
There's
There
way.
is a way.
Yes, so that panel didn't see my vision, but they're not the only
But
panel
there is
that
a
sees
way.
her. So I had to establish other team members
Amazing.
to listen to me. Actually, I went to their bosses.
Amazing.
After the panel said, we don't see us working together.
Mhm.
I went to the bosses.
Mhm.
Said, oh, come and talk first. That sounds interesting.
Yes.
Same institution but different.
Yes.
Yes,
different outcome.
Different outcomes.
Just because you tried again,
Yes.
just because from
Yes,
first
I didn't
reception
give up.
they didn't give up. Just
Yes.
because they looked at
Yes.
you and by judging the book by its cover,
Yes.
they decided they don't want to
That
read
I'm
the
too
book.
ambitious, whatever, yes. But then the second meeting, hence I was able to secure the relationship with them.
Mhm.
So this is what I do. The challenge of not having a social capital to invest on my infrastructure, the new own factory. So I approached CSIR that one of the things that I want them to help me with. They have an infrastructure. They've got a small manufacturing factory for drones that they use for prototype. I said, can I use that in the meantime while I'm planning to build mine? I said, okay, what's there for us? Because obviously we need money to do. You cannot we're not an innovation hub. I said, okay, what I'll do, because my strength is on business development, I'll go and look for those contracts whereby you come and train the model, because always I'm into training academy. So there's a kind of a little academy where you train those unemployed technicians, engineers, certified. You train them on how to run a drone manufacturing plant.
Got it.
So they've got money, and the money, for instance, from CETA pay for that kind of training. So what I do with CETAs now, I negotiate for the whole supply value chain that you pay to train this manufacturing student on manufacturing, and the sales takes them through the process, But what I like about CSIR, because they've got strong infrastructural, that on another level, the R&D. So other than also training them on this manufacturing, but you've got a facility where they test, because drones you need to test. So it's design, engineering, design, I'm learning the process. It's design, manufacturing, and testing and piloting. So I got more than partner with any other person, So we'll be able to test our drones using their facility. They said as soon as you are able to raise other kinds of money to build your infrastructure, then we'll help you to set up the structure similar like us, even bigger. So this is what I do to close the gap of not having funding to build my infrastructure. By the time I'm ready to build the infrastructure, I could have secured a contract that Cupidron is known in the industry. So now I go in market and say, please guys, give me business because I'm working with CSIR. And once they know that name, they say, wow, really CSIR? Now I'm happy that innovation hubs come into the picture. But also I've identified, and I don't have money for that. So I just wanted to give some tips that sometimes that even you don't have money, you can do something.
You can still make things happen.
You can make things happen. So what I've identified as well, people that are drone companies that are more established. So we've got the relationship with them whereby I'm saying, can I use your resources? Because they've got, like one of them that I've collaborated with, they've got about 900 drone pilots. They've got, they're very established in Africa, but they're based there.
I heard it takes it's more expensive to be a drone pilot than to be a plane pilot.
Yes.
So 900 means that they really
They're
have
very big.
very
They're very
big.
big and established, So I partnered with them because I wanted to tap into their infrastructure as well. Like there are potential clients now that wants me to do some drone solution. So I'm subcontracting them, but I become the lead provider. Why? Because I'm building on development. People know about QP Drone, know about us, and the little money that I make, I'm able to invest it on my dream, on having a business venture in terms of the manufacturing plan, and also obviously the agencies like DTI of this world to come to meet me halfway and take it further. Yeah.
Sure.
So that's just a classical example how I
overcome.
I navigate me without having financial support. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I'm hearing, there's so many connections as an entrepreneur you're making, but still always aligned to the vision, which we all here are talking about is the vision of Africa and the dreams of Africa and the continent. I think from an entrepreneurial journey point of view, there's so much we appreciate that you've shared here today with us.
Thank you.
And of course, I'm looking forward to sharing more about developments and also the creation of this, because it's empowering young people to learn. It's the same people that will be in the factory.
Yes.
Creating skills for that same factory. And not only is it good for business, it's also good for people. It's good for the country.
Yes.
And I think what we always try to close off here is one question, which is, if you were to look back to a younger version of yourself, 20 years old, 22 years old, and would thinking wherever they are or whatever they want to do, what would you want to say to them if they were here today, and they dreaming and they asking themselves, what should I dream about? What should I do? The younger version of you, or they worried about the future.
Yeah.
What would you say to that African?
Yes. Yeah. That's these days everyone is given the talent of being smart, and they just need to identify opportunities within an environment. As I said, it's important that they believe in themselves, that they can do it. The sky is the limit. And obviously it won't be an easy journey, but if they get support by identifying mentors, family support, nothing will stop them from achieving. And also they're lucky because they've got smartphones that will help them to navigate the world, to seek for opportunities, and they should always remain focused. Look for opportunities, believing in themselves, pushing their vision, not being discouraged, being patient as well. That don't go it for money. Money is important. I love my lifestyle, obviously, but it comes later. That's
trying to change a continent,
and also
trying to build the
investing in
future.
personal development. You know what I mean? I went back to business school when I turned 50 because I believe that the business that I was investing, they're no longer talking to the technological world, to the future, and I had to position myself. So personal development, support, and believing, in themselves.
Thank you so much.
Okay,
Queen.
thank you.
There you have it. First, ladies and gentlemen, believe in yourself. And sometimes that's one of the toughest things to do, especially when you continuously hear all the mistakes you've made, all the regrets you've done, and people not believing in you. But I promise that's when you should believe in yourself the most. Because when you start believing in yourself, that's when everyone else can start believing in you. And that's when you create the future that you want to be and be the best version of yourself. And all about African dreams, all about Ubuntu Dreams, bringing together the people, humanity. And Africa doesn't mean you were born in Africa, but it means you are one part of the motherland. We all come from the same place, and we are together to thrive and have dreams and make sure everybody, whether on the African continent or the Asian continent or in Australia, is living in a world of equality and prosperity. With much love and respect, thank you again. See you very soon.
Thank you.